Yeah, actually, I don't know if you'll find this helpful or not, but sometimes I think people find it helpful just to know that just like you were saying it just from what you just commented on, just like we lump Muslims all together and we say those Muslims. I mean, if you think about it just a little bit, you probably guess that's not quite right to say those Muslims. There are 1.5 billion, or depends who you're asking, a billion and a half Muslims, a lot of Muslims, just like they do often to us, and they say those Christians. So we all know that there's Catholics and Protestant, and they're Protestant, they're evangelicals, and they're all these different groups. And actually, hundreds of them or thousands of them. It's the same with Islam as well. And so politically, it's the same way. So, for instance, the Hezbollah are always Shiite. They're all in Lebanon. And if you ask a Lebanese what the Hezbollah are doing in Lebanon, they would say they're freedom fighters. Isn't it interesting how perspective means everything? If you ask somebody in Israel, obviously the Hezbollah are terrorists, so the bad guys, firing rockets at them. So the Hezbollah are a localized Lebanese Shiite organization. They're the largest humanitarian organization in Lebanon. So whether they're freedom fighters or terrorists, honestly, it depends on which side of the border you're on. I'm actually not making a qualifying statement about who they actually are. I'm saying depends on which side of the border you're on. They're terrorists or freedom fighters. That's the Hezbollah. Hamas is similar. They are all Palestinians. They're all Sunni Muslims. So Shiite and Sunni, a real simple way to think of Shiite and Sunni is Catholic and Protestant. So both Shiite and Sunni fit under the umbrella of Islam. The religion they adhere to is Islam. Just like Catholics and Protestants aren't really the name of a religion. They're part of the religion called Christianity, both Catholics and Protestants. So all Hamas are all Sunni. They're all Palestinians, mostly in Gaza. So you kind of heard in some fuzzy sort of way that most of the West Bank is Fatah or the old Arafat party. Mostly Gaza is Hamas. So the Hamas are serious, I would say, fundamentalist Muslims. Some of the Hamas would be what we would call terrorists. I mean, they've actually blown things up. Terrorism, the definition of terrorism is killing civilians in order to terrorize the population. So a terrorist is not somebody who is just fighting a normal war. They're doing things in order to terrorize. That's why 9/11 was the perfect act of terrorism. It made us all afraid. They hit one place that was perfect terrorism. So that's the Hamas. Al-Qaeda is kind of a fuzzy, broad umbrella term that bin Laden and a few others coined years ago, but really, actually, we popularized it. I mean, anybody now who's a real actual bad guy, I would say Al-Qaeda are just the pure bad guy terrorists. And Al-Qaeda is they could be Indonesians, they could be Lebanese or Saudis, it could be anywhere in the world. They may or may not even think of themselves as Al-Qaeda, but we would call them Al-Qaeda because they are the enemies of the state. Whereas Hamas is localized to Palestine, Hezbollah is localized to Lebanon, Al-Qaeda could be the actual bad guys anywhere in the world that are Muslims.